Welcome everybody to another Map and Lens video, and welcome not to the Yamaha that you would normally expect. So if the Yamaha has been phased out, what has been phased in? So welcome back to the bike. You join me on what I can only describe as the windiest day that I've been out on the bike in for some time. Typical that I decide to come and have a bit of a video session is the day that all of the wind in the world is blowing in the North York Moors. So you may not be able to hear a word I'm saying, depending on how strong the AI features are in the editing software to get rid of the wind. But like the true professional I pretend to be, we'll push on through these difficult times to try and bring you something remotely interesting. So, the little intro there is, and you've probably already seen in the thumbnail that the Yamaha Fazer has gone. I've had it for a couple of years now, and I have loved every second of riding her. She has been a brilliant bike. Bit of a do-everything, quite capable of some long distance touring, but also on a weekend very capable of letting her hair down and having a bit of a party with some of the bigger bikes. So I am genuinely sorry to see her go. She's been picked up, she's gone to a new home, and I'm sure a new owner will be very, very happy with her. I know that I have been. She never caused me a minute's trouble either, no bother whatsoever. Every time I've gone to her to try and have a ride, she's just started. First press of the button, behaved herself. Lovely, lovely bike. If you're out there and you're looking for something that's a bit of a multi-purpose and you don't want an adventure bike, I highly recommend you taking a look at the Yamaha Fazer. FZ6 is what I had, specifically the S2, so you get a little bit better fueling. Great bike. But enough of the past, onwards and upwards. What on earth am I tooling around on now? Well, just making sure that van stays where it is, or that Freelander. Some of you might be able to recognise already from the dashboard and the cockpit area. There's definitely a Honda logo down there. If the 360 camera's working, you'll also notice that I'm hunched over a little bit. And if you can see through my visor, you may see some pain grimaces on my face from being hunched over a little bit and having my feet tucked up around my ankles. All of that should lead you to believe that this is in fact a sports bike, something I've been wanging on about for some time, and I finally taken the plunge and got myself one. But which sports bike? Well, if we jump into the future, you'll probably join me now somewhere probably equally as windy, where I take you around the bike.
So she's a 2004 1000 RR Fireblade. She's, I guess some would say, fairly high mileage for age. She's just clicked over onto 36,000, but she's only had 2 owners from new, and the previous owners had her for 12 years. So that made me feel pretty confident that she's a well looked after bike. When I picked her up, she didn't look like she does now. The previous owner had fitted a complete second set of fairings to the bike, so she was in a red and black patterned fairing set. So one of the first things I did when I got the bike was put the original fairings back on, because this is my favourite paint scheme from this generation of Fireblade.
So that's what she is. But what do I think of her? Well, I'm not going to lie, before I picked her up I was terrified. Absolutely. of a bike with as much power as she's got. Just over 170 brake horsepower at the crank. I think leads to around 140, 150 brake at the wheels. So she is no slouch. And significantly more powerful than anything I have ever ridden in the past. So yeah, a little bit scared and a little bit of in awe of her is definitely how I felt when I first went to pick her up. Now, as is the way with any bike that anybody buys these days, unless it's new, the availability of any form of test drive just does not exist. That is not something that you can do, as I'm sure you seasoned bikers will know. So that means you just have to decide ahead of time whether or not you can or can't ride a bike, and whether or not you will or won't like a bike. You just have to take a financial gamble and work out whether you think it's going to work for you or whether it's not. There's a little bit of jeopardy, and I'm happy to say that my experience so far is that she is a massive pussycat. That's not to say that she doesn't have claws. My gosh, does she have claws. The acceleration, as far as I'm concerned, if you really open her up, and I'll be honest, I haven't got anywhere near a limit yet, but she is savage, or can be savage. Right, just going to just gently get past this horse. She all right? Yeah. Yeah, she's quite loud. So where was I? Yeah, so she is very fast if you want her to be, but also not that scary if you just ride around sensibly. She's easy to handle if you play nicely with her, and that's one of the things that I really liked when I was reading about this generation of blade, is that some people were saying that she wasn't quite savage enough for them, especially compared to the Gigster of the time and the ZX10. But for me, as the first foray into 1000cc sports bikes, I kind of liked that she was potentially a little calmer than some of the competition, and that she will suffer fools a little bit more gladly than something extreme. So that's something that I like about her a lot. Now, riding position, what's that like? Well, as I said in the intro, she is not a commuter, and being the only sports bike that I've ridden, really, thank you, I don't really have a great deal to compare her to, but it has definitely taken an amount of time for my body to kind of get used to this leant forward, butt in the air, arched back kind of position with your feet up. But I have to say that once you've got used to it, and I feel like I kind of have a little bit now, it actually makes quite a lot of sense, certainly for a bike like this, because you have more weight over the front, so I feel like I get a lot more feel, and it really does help when you're trying to get around into a corner, because I just think you have a lot more control. Now we're just going on a gentle little tootle here. Went to a place called Codbeck. She's up in the North York Moors, very close to where I live. But what I have just realised is that up here is a fairly twisty, steep hill. So this will be the first time that I've ever done anything like this on this bike. So, oh, and it's wet and slippy, brilliant. So let's see how this goes. Sure, it'll be fine. Oh, she's got a brand new set of Metzler's tyres on her. Never had Metzler's before, but apparently the chap in the sales place where I bought it from was waxing lyrical about them. Apparently they're very expensive. Double R9s or something like that. I'll put the name on when I find out what they're actually called. But apparently they're supposed to be very good tyres. They seem very good in my experience so far. Very confidence inspiring. I haven't had any moments where I felt like she was going to get away from underneath me or anything. So whether I'll be sticking with those when it comes time to put a new set of boots on, I don't know, because like I say, they are supposed to be very, very expensive. But luckily she has all the tread in the world left, so that's something. Right. Well, this is very pretty around here, by the way. If you haven't been, I haven't been this way on any of my videos before, so this will be your first shot of seeing this. So it's very pretty. It's a lovely area, beautiful part of the world. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I'm very blessed to live where I live, so close to the North York Moors, with all of these twisty, beautiful roads, pretty much on the doorstep of Middlesbrough. You can, however, probably see the wind whipping in. As I mentioned before, it is an incredibly blustery day today. Not my favourite riding conditions. Just has a hydraulic clutch, this bike, and that's the first bike I've ever owned with a hydraulic clutch. Everything I've had before has been cable operated, and it's lovely. It's really, really nice, which just makes the clutch feel lovely and smooth. Very consistent feel, no matter what angle you've got the lever at, so that's nice. You don't feel some of that sticky that you sometimes get with a wired clutch. So all in all, I love her. I love her very much. Very pleased with my purchase. Very happy with my decision to go Fireblade. I'm looking forward to some adventures with her. Whether those adventures will be of a similar distance as the rides I went on the Fazer with, possibly not. Don't know whether she's that kind of bike, although I guess the more used to the riding position I get, the more comfortable she gets. I don't really have a bad back anymore, which is what I did to start with when I was first getting off her. So, I don't know. Maybe by next season I'll be up for some longer rides. Who knows? I always think back about, you know, Teapot One and him going around the world on a Jigsaw house, so, you know, if he can do that, why can't I ride a couple of hours to a cool place on this bike? There's no reason why I can't. The only thing stopping me is fear itself. I feel like that's off a movie, but I don't know which one. So if you're interested where we are, by the way, that's Codbeck on the left hand side, which is a reservoir out in the North York Moors, and we are currently heading down towards the cute little village of Osmotherley, potentially to ruin everybody's day with the loudness of the exhaust pipes that are currently on this bike. I went out for a ride with my mate for the first time on Thursday night. and I was explaining to them how subtle I thought the exhaust pipes on this bike were. They reminded and suggested me that that was not the case, and that it may seem like that when I've got my earbuds in, but in reality apparently she's quite loud. So there we go. Not what I thought, at least. One benefit of being down this way under all this tree canopy is that the wind's stopped, which is nice. Oh, by the way, brakes on this bike, whoa, awesome, rip your face off kind of brakes. Granted, it's got what looks like fairly new EBC pedal brake discs on, and I'm guessing it's got EBC pads on it as well. And it does have that weird bit which other people with Fireblades of this generation's 2004 seem to say, which is there's this weird little bit of nothing, but then once you get past that, whoa, it's got brakes for days. It's also had a braided lines fade at some point in the past, so you get the extra reassurance of that. Like I said, all in all, very happy with this bike. Now the other thing that it's got that's quite different from the Fazer is really strong engine braking. Like really strong engine braking. In second gear specifically, you can really enjoy a ride on a nice twisty road and you don't need to go anywhere near the brakes whatsoever, as the engine braking is more than enough to take care of slowing for corners. Now the reason why I'm heading down here is that my sister and her husband and my niece and nephew apparently are staying down at this place down here, so I was wondering if they were in and I might be able to say hi to them. See if I can find them or not. Little wander, see if we can't find their car in the car park, and then if it's here, they're here, and if it's not here, then they're not here, obviously. So we're looking for a big Hyundai SUV thingy mabob, but I'm guessing that they're not here because I can't see it. No, just a Freelander. Oh well, that's a shame. I stayed at this campsite before with my kids when they were little. It's just on the back. If you're ever in the Osmotherley area, it's a cracking little campsite, this. There's a youth hostel there as well, if you don't fancy camping. Pop-up breakfasts, as you can see. It's in the beautiful countryside. There you go, Coatgill. Cracking campsite. Busy today, mind, with it being bank holiday. It's a really, really nice campsite. Osmotherley, North Orkney, was looking for a campsite. Stayed here a couple of times. Really good. Definitely worth a little visit. Right, well, looks like the family have gone out for the day. So we will continue with our ride. Well, that was a shame. Would have been nice to bump into the my niece and nephew, and my sister and husband, of course. But wasn't really sure I was going to come out this morning, so that's why I'd have made some actual plans, and then they'd have been here, I'm sure. But there we go. Trying to get into the habit of filling up the bike at the end of a ride rather than having to faff around and do it at the start of the next ride. So, oh, speaking of, just go around this corner, speaking of filling up bikes, this bike is the first one that I've owned that does not have a fuel gauge at all. So, yeah. So it's a case of setting the trip and just keeping an eye on how far you've gone, I guess. It's definitely a slightly new way of riding to me, or for me. The other thing is, it's got a fuel light. But because I've been doing this fill-in at the end of a ride business and I haven't had a massive ride yet, I assume the fuel light works, but I haven't actually seen it yet. So at some point, I'd like to see the fuel light come on just so I know that it works. From what I understand from certain people who know online, once the fuel light comes on, you've probably got around another 30 miles maybe, allegedly. So I'd love to know, with my riding style, what I'm likely to get out of a tank, just so that I know what I'm doing, so that I can plan and stuff. So this is the village of Osmotherley. Got a cute little pub in the middle, lots of little walking routes as well from around here that are delicious and well worth an explore. Ooh, got a lease, nice. And a lease and an F-type. There you go, tells you what you need to know about the roads around here, doesn't it? You don't get cars like that unless the roads are worth it. Well, this was only ever going to be a short video, a little bit of an intro to the bike, just announce that she's here and then just so you know what to expect. Oh, by the way, actually, when I was purchasing this bike from Tom Conway's in Durham, I bumped into the very first time this has ever happened to me, where somebody who subscribes to the channel popped over and said hi, so that was lovely. So I didn't get the chap's name, but it was lovely to meet you and have a bit of a chat, and thanks for watching and thanks for subscribing, and hopefully you'll stick around and see how my adventures go with the Fireblade. But yeah, it was lovely. I've never had that happen to me in my entire life, somebody pop over and say hi who knows me from anything, so that was a very nice experience, so thank you for that. Right, so we're outside the other side of Osmotherley now, and then the only thing waiting at this way is the A19, which is basically the main dual carriageway that just takes you into Middlesbrough, or takes you past Middlesbrough if you don't want to stop in Middlesbrough, but you should stop in Middlesbrough because Middlesbrough's got some nice areas. So I think once we get down to the bottom of this little hill, we'll probably call it there for the video, because you don't want to watch me ride up and down the A19. You might want to watch me ride anywhere at all ever, but you definitely won't want to watch me ride up the A19, because that's boring and not fun. So thank you very much for, look at that old barn, how many bikes you could fit in there. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you are going to enjoy the new content coming from the Fireblade. Hopefully it doesn't turn any of you off who were just here for the Fazer, but hopefully you're going to enjoy it. Ride safe, enjoy what little bits of summer that we've got left, and it's been a pleasure having you along, and I'll catch you all the next one. See you later, guys. 555, helmet off, helmet on, 555. Bye.